Hello, hello. This is April Malone with Yes, I Work From Home, and this is the podcast. Today I have a guest, Jubee Vilceus with Yellowtail Tech with us today. You have to tell us all about where you're from and what you do.
Well, I'm from Maryland. I'm from Haiti originally. I live in Maryland. I'm the managing partner at Yellowtail Tech, where we help people with no IT background break into the IT industry. So we specifically focus on people who are transitioning into a new career, and we help them go through the process of not only training but actually breaking into a new industry, specifically IT.
So this sounds like a fabulous place to start for people that want to have a work from home job but don't know what to do.
Yes, definitely, especially after COVID. 90%, more than 90% of the students we helped placed in jobs after COVID have a 100% work from home setup.
Okay.
So it's definitely the one of the industries that's very friendly to work from home setups, especially now.
So I have a 9-year-old son who learned some Python coding. Are we talking about learning coding or like learning whole software systems? And what specifically are you
We
teaching?
specifically focus on the Linux operating system and on AWS cloud computing. There will be some coding, especially if you go the direction of AWS. There will be some Python, but mostly for automation, not necessarily coding to build software or website. Because Python, I'm not sure if you know, has many different applications. So, but we mostly use it for automation in a cloud computing environment. But yeah, you would be exposed to a bit of Python if you choose one of the programs we offer.
So let's consider the fact that maybe some of our listeners don't know what you're talking about. Can you break it down
Yes,
into
of
layman's
course.
terms,
Yes,
AWS and cloud computing?
most people who come to me just know one thing. I hate what I do now. I hate, and that's the biggest, most important driver is how much they dislike their current situation. We- There's a pattern. The pattern of success is I despise my current situation so much that I'm ready to actually do the work and change. But they come in and they know they want to break into IT. So what we do is we help them understand what are the options, because there are so many viable ways to break into the industry. So what we've done is we've chosen two programs, two tracks that we understand that we are a subject matter expert at, and we help you decide which one of these two options work best for you. And we make sure you understand that you can start or you can break into the industry by being a Linux system administrator, which is administrating systems, enterprise level systems of big companies like Google, AWS, and so on. Or you can go the route of cloud computing, where you just are managing infrastructure, but borrowed infrastructure. Companies, there are two ways to actually deal with infrastructure. It's either you have your own infrastructure, you've purchased all the equipment, you build out your infrastructure in your own data center, or you use cloud computing, where it just means that you're using someone else's computer and you buying a piece of their infrastructure to run your services.
Like buying
So
space, basically?
yes, buying space, and it's not only space you buy. Sometimes you buy applications as well,
Okay.
but you buy it fractionally. You see, you just buy exactly what you need. So that's the trend. Infrastructure management now, that's the trend it's following. Instead of buying everything yourself, you just leverage cloud computing.
So
So
I'm part of, oh, go ahead.
that's basically what we help people do, is break into the industry, and specifically those two areas.
So when I am I'm part of several groups say on Facebook for people that just want any work from home job. And a lot of those, those entry level jobs that people get into are call centers. So how much training do you need for these types of positions that you're talking about? How long of a commitment
Yes.
is it and how many hours? And
Good question. We have two programs. One is 6 months, one is 9 months. So the commitment to us is going to be anywhere between 9 months and a year. Because on top of the training, we help you get an internship where you get the hands-on. We have to do some work with you on your resume, on mock interviews. So the minimum commitment is 9 months.
okay.
So it's quite a bit of time and commitment to the process.
And is it like equivalent to like the kind of time that you would have to put into like, say, going to a community college or something, like 6 hours a day or?
About 7 to 10 hours a week is the minimum commitment required for you to make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a little less than going to a community college, and the length of time as well.
Mm-hmm.
9 to 12 months is way less than what you would be spending. The average a program at a community college is 2 years, but most people complete those programs in way more than 2 years, almost 3 years. So it's definitely short.
And do you find many people coming to you that already have like educational background or coming from scratch with a high school diploma or less?
Actually, over 50% of people we train have a bachelor's degree or higher. It's just that, and also about 40% of people we train are in a profession they used to love. It's just that they got burned out. So we train a lot of nurses, people who work in social work. You name it, we train people, we retrain people and help them transition.
And then the jobs that they get pay as much or more than what they had before?
Yes, because we train in a very highly specialized area, the jobs pay unusually high compared to most jobs. But it's quite a bit of commitment. I like to put that forward. Breaking into the industry takes commitment. It takes a lot of work. Of course, we are there to support you along the way, but it's not a decision you should take lightly.
Right, right. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about you and your team and where you work from. I know that you kind of have a hybrid model personally, but you said most of the people that you work with are remote.
Yes, they are distributed all over the US, but in Maryland, we have a local team. We meet a few times a week at the local office, but most of our team of 50 people are distributed all over the United States on 4 different time zones. So my setup is a little bit different. For example, now I'm at the office, but most of the time I'm at home. So I get to get the best of both worlds in my case.
Well, we can talk about both. We can talk about you and your remote / office, when you go in, why do you go in? Why do you pay the money to keep the office versus what it's like to work with a team remotely? How do you communicate and handle the different time zones? So go ahead.
Yeah, the reason why I keep the office, it's because we have although small, we have a local team. So it's an occasion to meet the team, to work together. The second is, if you can afford it, having an alternative outside of your home office, for example, a WeWork, a shared office situation, or coffee shop, I find is very important to break the routine of working completely from home. You get to meet other people and you get to have a reason to leave the house. So for me, that's what I've seen happen is with my team as well. Although they work from home in different areas, but they also always find a situation where they get out of their house to work in a different environment.
Yeah. Actually, my last interview, we talked exactly about that. And it depends, actually the one before that as well. 2 interviews ago was about the introverted people and how it's important for them for their own mental and social health to get out of the house where they might want to stay home all the time. And then my last interview, she's comfortable working from home most of the time, but her husband is so extroverted. He needs to have his opportunities to get out, and it all depends. Where would you say you fall in that personality thing?
Yes, I fall in the personality that I think for me, the hybrid model is what works best for me. I need to interact with people and, be able to meet people, talk to them once in a while. So that's important for me for my productivity in general. Yeah.
And it sounds like your team and you probably have laptops, so it's more easy for you to get out and go to
Oh,
coffee
yes.
shops, because I know not everyone has that. Like when I worked for Mayo Clinic, I had to be hardwired. We were not allowed to leave our office during that time.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that's being looked at in the industry. Even people who only had desktop, they are finding ways to make those laptops very secure, but allowing you to go home with it because, this is the trend. And yes, all my employees have laptops. What we have in the office are docks. So basically, instead of having a desktop and a laptop, when you come to the office, you just dock it in and you distribute to a monitor.
Okay.
And, yeah. So I think that's the best and the most cost-efficient way to have something that's flexible.
So how often do you all get together with your local team? Are they mandatory meetings, or is it like drop in as you will?
Um, Mandatory 3 days a week for at least half a day. So that's what we have set up now. It's not mandatory, but it's encouraged. But that's what usually happens because they are in the same boat as well. They are looking for the balance. You see, balance, the occasion to leave the house in general.
So are those scheduled half days, or are they like just try to be in the office 3 days, half a day if you can, when you can?
The reason why it's scheduled is because we want everyone to have the occasion to be there on the same time and actually achieve the get together we're trying to accomplish. Because if and everyone comes whenever they want, so it might get to a situation where you rarely meet anyone at the office.
Yeah. My husband's work right now has them going 3 days a week on site. And they had to choose either Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that basically everyone's there on Wednesday for collaboration, I guess. But for the most part, their work is still individual. They have meetings, but they're always online.
Yes. And now even if we have meetings in the office, but most of the people we're meeting is not local anyway. So it's weird.
How do you do that? I know there's different conference setups. Like, are the people that are in the office meeting with the people that are remote, basically sharing one camera and just showing the whole room, or is everyone individually on their computers but muted and just having one source for the sound? Because I know, I've been teaching English as a second language in our community to adults. And whenever we'd have that sort of situation, it would be complicated with echoes and things. People would have to make sure that their sound was muted and their microphone was muted, and so that we wouldn't have all that reverb and things.
Yeah, we are separated enough where there's no echo situation. But in general, what we do is if you're not actively speaking, you put your sound on mute. This, at least for us, works.
With headphones or headsets so that the sound doesn't go through. Yeah. I think that's where we were struggling, is that not everyone was muting their sound.
Exactly. And we typically have headsets that we use. So it helps manage that.
And then what kind of communication devices do you use? Email? Is it Jabber? Just Teams to just, do asynchronous meetings or communication or synchronous?
We are a zero email company. So we only use email when we are speaking to external parties. So if it's within the company, we use exclusively Slack.
Okay.
So all our communication happened either to Slack or a Loom video. So that's our main way of communicating, and it has been working very well.
So a Loom if you need to show something.
Exactly. If you need to show something, a Loom is always quicker. If you're communicating anything, it's through Slack.
Okay. And then what about for do you call them students?
Yes, we call them students because they are learning. How do we communicate with our students? Mm-hmm. Slack.
Okay.
We do everything exclusively on Slack with our team and our students.
And then are their trainings self-paced, or are they like attending a class in real time?
Yes, we have a hybrid format where a portion, what we call pre-work, is video based, where they go through it and then they show up to class 2 to 3 times a week, depending on the program.
Sounds like a flipped classroom model.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure how what a flipped classroom model means, but it's the model that has worked the best because they show up with some knowledge of what they should be discussing, so they can bring in questions, and their questions are more pertinent. So it really helps move along the class.
Yeah, I think that's what the flipped classroom means, is that they do the work ahead of time, so they come prepared with questions, ready to go with, a knowledge of that vocabulary or whatever you will. Where I think the older model, like when I went to school, it was like the teacher introduces everything to you in class, and then you have to go home and do your homework.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what helps us. And in between pre-work and of course live sessions, we have Slack. So this is where they get immediate support if they need it. They get support session as well in between the live lectures and the pre-work, where they can work out issues if they have any. So we have a model where we emphasize on a lot of support because our student body, we focus specifically on people with no IT background. So we know what's necessary is a lot of support, and our programs are intentionally slower because, all they're learning is completely new material. So
from the ground up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have office hours, like as far as like communication? Like, do you feel like when you go home, you're still answering, messages all night long, or do you have a team that covers overnight, or do you just tell people, we shut things off at 5 o'clock and we'll be back tomorrow? How does that work for you for your own work-life balance?
Regarding communication with the students or within the team?
Both. Let's just go with both.
Oh man, communication with the students goes through a student success coach. We require half a day to get back to them. After anything, any question that happens after 5 gets addressed next day. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing for the team as well.
And when you say 5, do you mean 5 p.m. Eastern time?
5 p.m. Eastern time. Mm-hmm. 5 p.m. Eastern time, but it's different for things that are related specifically to the course because our live session are 7 to 9 p.m.
Okay.
So if you have an issue or if you're discussing something about the class, you're going to hear people chiming in at 7, 8, 9. But if you have a concern that has to do with, your tuition, and you have to reach out to your student success coach, that's going to be answered the next day by probably 8:30 a.m.
All right. So you have different people covering at different times based on their roles.
Yes. People who work after hours are going to be the TAs and the instructors. That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you actually do have live sessions. Did I hear that right?
Yes. That's the anchor. That's the main part of our program, the live session.
And what do you do for those who can't make it
Well, the agreement is that they can make most of the live sessions, but if they can't, all the sessions are recorded and
Okay.
available the next day. But they have to commit to attending at least 90%
Okay.
of the live sessions.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But we know, things happen. So, but everything is available and ready to download. They can even download the recordings. Sometimes they want, even if they attend, they want to review the live sessions.
That's good. Do you
Yeah.
have a global client base as well?
No,
Coming in from other
we
places?
exclusively train people who actually live in the US. The reason why is because we have a career support portion of our offering, and we only know the US market enough to be able to give you that career support in the US. So, because we don't only sell training, we help people break into the industry. That's the difference. So training someone who's, for example, in Canada, I can train you, but when it's time for me to help you, support you to get a job, I don't know the Canadian job market enough to actually support you in there. You see,
That's fair.
so
Do you
that's
think
why we
that's
exclusively focus on the US, and it's a big enough market where we would have to grow probably triple our size to get to a point where we say, okay, we need to start looking elsewhere.
so maybe a growth opportunity in the future, but not present?
Yeah, not now, not in the next 3 or 4 years, even.
So Yellowtail, how did you come up with that name?
Yes,
Yellowtail Tech,
yes.
not the wine.
Yellowtail, it's an interesting story. It's my wife and my favorite wine. It's from Australia.
So it
And
is like the wine.
yes, it is like the wine. And we decided, yeah, let's call it something that we both love and we have in common. And we called it Yellowtail. And then throughout the years, we added Yellowtail Tech to make sure we are very different from the wine, because there was some, basically people were researching the wine and would fall on a Yellowtail Tech and vice versa as well. And looking up Yellowtail Tech, but end up on the wine. So that's why it's Yellowtail Tech.
Did you ever snag any of those people?
No, because someone who's trying to get a bottle of wine is not necessarily, the same person looking to change career.
How do you find yourself finding your students?
Our students usually are looking for ways to get out of the situation they are. So the typical search words are, how do I break into the industry? How do I break into the IT industry? How do I learn cloud computing? So these are typically the starting questions that our future students have. Yeah.
Does your school session follow like a typical school year, or do you start like every 3 months?
Yeah, no, we don't follow a typical year, but we do follow a cohort format. So we have a group of students that start and finish at the same time, but we don't follow a typical school year. No.
So when's your next enrollment?
In July and then in August.
Okay.
So yeah.
So for those of you that are thinking about learning about this, you better act quickly. All right, let's talk a little bit about your work-life balance and how you manage working from home, and when do you decide to go to the office?
That's the difference. I typically end up coming to the office afternoons in general. So I start my work after I work out, I work from home, and then after lunch, I head to the office. Even on the days that there's no one else here, I come, especially when I want to do deep work. That's the occasion to come here, be by myself, and actually focus. Yeah, regarding work-life balance, now I'm getting better at it. I don't work at all on weekends, but and I try to completely close out my work at 7 p.m. My work day usually starts around 10. So so after 7, no Slack, no emails. So that's what has worked for me in general.
Do you work out at home as well, or do you go to the gym, come home and work, and then go to the office?
I go to the gym 5 minutes away.
Okay.
I go to the gym, but I only do my biking from home, but when it's time to weight training, I go to the gym.
Yeah, I know one thing that people often want to give up is that commute. And then when they give it up and work from home, then they miss that commute time. How far does it take you, or how long does it take you to get from home to the office?
5 minutes and 3 minutes to the gym. So I don't have a real commute.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want one either.
Yeah.
You know? Because me, I'd rather on weekends or early morning go on a walk. I have a park close to me. Instead of if I need time alone, because that's usually why they miss the commute. It's the time alone, time to reflect, or time to listen to an audiobook. If I want to do that, I take the occasion when I'm riding my bike or when I'm walking. So yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your household. You've mentioned a wife.
Yeah, I have my wife and I have a daughter, one daughter.
And how much are they home while you're working from home?
Um, Most of the time they are home, but they are in their own quarters
Mm-hmm.
in the house. So
Is your daughter older then?
she's 8.
Okay.
She's usually in the family room or in her room doing homework or watching TV. So.
And school too?
Oh no, her school is 1 minute away.
Okay.
So that's one thing I do in the morning. I drive her to school,
Mm-hmm.
and I come back, get ready, go to the gym. So that's the typical morning routine.
And does your wife also work from home?
Yes, she also worked the hybrid model. Her office is next to mine, and she also has a desk at home as well.
Does she work with Yellowtail Tech?
Yes, she's the co-founder.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Well, that's we do very different things in the company. So we get to actually get together and talk about what we've worked on. We try to come to the office in different schedules. And we have different desks in different areas of the house. So that's one way for us to not always be together. Yeah, because that's important.
I've seen people like, on, I don't know, on social media or Pinterest or just websites, about working from home, having like this master desk where there's basically 2 workstations and one big desk. And I'm like, I can see so many problems with this setup.
Yes. I know there are so many problems with this setup.
First of all, like some of them are built in, so you can't even adjust the height. Second of all, what if either of you has to be on a phone call? So I actually do have a desk immediately next to my husband's desk that I sit at sometimes when I'm not in here. This is a closet actually that I do my podcast out of. And I taught out of it online for several years. So it still has a lot of my teaching materials in here too. But I get claustrophobic in here. I won't lie. There's no window. So sometimes if my husband's working on site, I just take his desk because it's much nicer than mine. But working side by side is a little tricky.
Yeah, so we don't have that set up. We have our own space.
And do you have a home office?
Yes, 2 home offices.
2 home offices, nice. Okay. So you have found that it works better to work separately. What did you guys do before this?
We've always worked, even in our previous home, we've always had different offices. And before COVID, we used to go to a bigger office with more space even in between the offices. So it always has worked for us.
How long have you been doing Yellowtail Tech?
Oh man, it's been going on 8 years now. Yeah.
So your daughter's entire life?
Yes. She's always known Yellowtail, and she loves. She has her own little desk in there. She's
So
baby boss.
let's have a baby and start a new business all in the same year.
Yes, but before COVID, we used to go to the office almost exclusively, and then we were deciding to transition into an online model to be able to serve everybody, to serve more people, and then COVID hit, so it actually accelerated our transition. You see?
Was your team all local before COVID?
Yes.
And then you've expanded.
We had a geographical limitation and who we can offer our services to.
Even your clients were local?
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So COVID helped accelerate your expansion to
our expansion, the way we operate, the way we offer our programs. Everything changed to the core.
Are there any days that you don't go into the office at all, or is it pretty much 50-50?
No, there are days I work from home. If there's, it depends. If I'm gonna have a lot of meetings, I'd like to. I usually like to be in the office. Mm-hmm. It depends. It's really on a day-to-day because it's not far. It's not far. And I really suggest people look into that local shared office where it's not far, where it's a chore to go to that place. But that's the situation with me. And sometimes I decide to work from home, and then after lunch I'm like, you know what, I'd rather just drive 5 minutes and go to the office.
Is it almost like that change of pace that helps you kind of reset and get into the mode for some reason?
Yep, the change of pace, or if there's too much going on in the house, there's probably some fixing going on, or my daughter have friends over. I'm like, you know what, let me just go to the office to get a little more quiet.
Do your offices at home have doors?
Yes, they do.
And how about the one here? I can see a door, your office here, but does it have a good sound barrier?
No, that's what we don't have here. We should, I should work on it. But all our office has door, but it's not well insulated.
Mm-hmm. It looks almost like glass.
It's a glass door.
Okay.
But not only it's a glass door, but it's not insulated. I think that can be fixed.
Now, this is your office that you rent or own, and then because you mentioned WeWork earlier, but it's not a WeWork office, is it?
No, this is my office, but most people, their operation doesn't require for them to have a whole office.
Right.
So that's why I usually suggest WeWork or shared office in general. There are so many offerings now in every city. So
before COVID, you were only giving classes to local people, and was that all happening in person?
Yes. It was all happening in person. So we had that geographical limitation. We are in the DMV area, which is the Maryland, Northern Virginia, and DC area. So that's who we are serving. Mm-hmm. And we grew about 260% only in 1 year by just going completely online. And not only we went online, but everybody also accepted and understood that's where the world was
right.
Going.
And it seemed natural to do that during COVID, but during that time, did you change offices or did you shut down and just come home?
Yeah, we shut down. That's to really stay committed to that executive decision. We actually gave out our big training center because I wanted to focus on how do I re-engineer our offering to be completely online, not reliant on it. So the only thing we have is a data center. We need a physical location for that, but everything else happens.
So you have maybe like a smaller conference room, but no more big training room?
No. Zero training room.
Did your class size change during that time?
Not too much, because we also wanted to keep the student to instructor ratio. Yeah. The optimal ratio that we think works. So that didn't change.
Mm-hmm. But how did you grow then? So you just offer more classes, like rather than the cohort every few months, now you have one every month, or?
Exactly. We grew and by adding more cohorts, not necessarily growing the size itself of the class.
What kind of certifications do your students get?
Yes, two certifications. If you, depending on the program you choose, you either get a Red Hat certification. Red Hat is it's like Microsoft but for Linux.
Okay.
It's a different operating system. It's an enterprise level operating system used in most big companies.
Mm-hmm.
So we get you either Red Hat certified. If you choose the cloud computing offering we have, you get an AWS SysOps certification, which is an Amazon certification.
Okay.
Okay.
So for someone who's coming from a completely different job I know a lot of nurses have left the field, like you mentioned, also a lot of teachers. What would you say is the biggest learning curve for these people who do not have any tech background?
Is to rely on themselves so much because you have to, be with a computer 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? It's not a learning curve. It's a behavioral thing. It's a new world. It's a new reality. You see, those people typically had more interaction with with their environments. And now you are interacting mostly with your computer. So that's the biggest change.
And is that something that you help people through? Like, what would you recommend to people who are going to be working remotely? And
I think in our case, we just warn them that, hey, this is a reality. This is it something you're willing to do? And sometimes most of the time they welcome it because yes, they're gonna have less interaction, but they usually it's usually their first completely remote job, so they are more excited about the opportunities it opens to have it remote, to be able to move, to be able to be in different locations without affecting your work. So they are more excited about the upsides than the downsides that come.
And I don't really know a whole lot about this industry. So like if someone were to get this cloud computing or AWS, or you said, help me out. Red Hat. Are they going to be in meetings on the phone all the time? Or is it truly just more of I'm working on a computer by myself?
It depends on the company they end up working for. It really depends. I'd be misleading you because every company, they operate differently. Some companies are completely Slack. Some company, they have stand-up meetings every day. Some companies, they encourage collaboration throughout the day, even remotely, but you are completely collaborating almost all day. Some companies encourage camera on. Some companies actually almost discourage it because you never see it. So it's all over the place in terms of what you end up finding.
Did you ever build any relationships with some of these companies to help kind of funnel?
Oh, yes. We have relationship with different, not only companies, but recruiters that help our students.
So you have a really great placement rate then.
Oh, yes. We have a 68% job placement rate within 6 months and a 78% within a year.
Wow. Good. All righty. Well, what else is there? What did you do before Yellowtail Tech?
Well, I have a background in management information systems, so I was always in the technology field. I've done a bit of consulting, and so before that was consulting mostly, and now we help people break into the industry. Yeah.
I bet it's changed so much from what you originally even dreamed of, but.
Well, not well. I wanted to be an architect when I was a kid, but but from when I went to school, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I knew I wanted to stay around technology. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually doing what I really intended to do.
I love hearing that. What would be your perfect day? You you've talked a little bit about that, but like as far as I always like to go back to that work-life balance stuff. I know that it's impossible to have perfect balance every day, but what would a perfect day look like for you?
A perfect day would be, first of all, waking up at around 6:45, rested. Not only waking up, but rested. This is one thing I struggle with, is the quality of my sleep. And, interacting with my wife and kids for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. That also includes taking her to school,
Mhm.
and come back, have breakfast, head to the gym, and come back home, get ready, and start my work day around 9:30. Depends on the day, 9:30. Depends on how many meetings I have and what kind of meetings, between 9:30 and 10.
Okay.
Work until noon, or 12:30, come home, have lunch, and take a nap. I am a napper. When I say that, people laugh, but I take a daily nap, and then go back on my second half of the day, to work, either at the office or at home,
Okay.
and make sure I finish my work completely by 7. I'm home by 7.
What time is your
Very
lunch?
cool.
Because that sounds like a long day in the office too.
Lunch is usually between 12:30 and 1.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the latest I have lunch.
Do you eat out most of the time or do you cook at home?
We eat home most of the time.
Who's cooking?
We have help. We have someone who cooks.
Awesome.
So yeah. So it's not me.
Yeah, my husband likes to cook when he's home. I usually get delivered breakfast when he's here, and when he's not, I'm like, everyone, just fun for yourself. Right.
Yes, but when we didn't have help, it would be sometimes my wife or myself.
Does that
But
mean you
it
also
usually
probably
always was mostly home.
one thing that I've heard a lot of people talk about as a challenge is all the household tasks distracting them from their work. Do you also outsource that help too?
That's one thing we invest in heavily on, and having the proper help to actually be able to focus on work, and actually having that balance, that work-life balance, because household chores usually get in there and mess up your day. Yeah.
Do you and your wife ever commute to work and from at the same time, or does she have to go pick up the kiddo from school? You bring her in and then she picks her up?
Yeah. She usually picks her up, and I take her in the morning.
So you get a little special time both with both parents, but two commutes, two different cars driving back and forth.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned Slack and Loom as two tech tools that you use for communication, but do you have any other tools that you live by or even office stuff that you can't live without?
Yes. The other platform we use is Close.io. It's a customer relationship manager that manages all our leads and customers and everything else. So it's Close.
CLOZE?
CLOSE, close, like closing a door,
Right,
closing
okay.
a deal. It's Close.io, Slack, and for personal use, WhatsApp, which is not terribly popular in the US, but I have a lot of friends and family all over the world. They almost actually exclusively use WhatsApp.
Mhm.
So these are the things I use every day for my basic communication and work. Slack, WhatsApp, Close.io. Yeah.
What about time management tools? Do you use anything to help you stay on task?
Yeah, Asana. Our whole team, we collaborate, everything in terms of project tracking, everything else happens on Asana. Are you familiar with Asana?
I think I know some people that work with them, with collaborating with vendors and everything, but I don't know as much about it personally.
Yeah, it's a very powerful platform. It's like Trello.
Mhm.
Some people use Trello.
Mhm.
Or Monday is another platform that competes with Asana.
Right.
We've tried them all, and we like Asana. We personally, as a team, we like Asana better.
Because
It's more powerful. It's like Monday and close put together. You know, it's a more powerful tool. That's why.
and then what about at your desk? Do you have any? I know you mentioned monitors.
Mhm.
What else do you have?
I have a lot of wood toys. I collect wood toys.
Because you use them for fiddling with, or just to
Yes,
make you
I use
happy?
them to fiddle with, and I love I have those time. How do you call them?
Is it an hourglass?
Hourglass. I have all sizes.
Do you use those actually to keep you like productive, or
No,
just to kind of fiddle with?
I just fiddle with them, not to keep me productive. What else is on my desk? I have my headset. I have my green juice. Of course, my coffee. And that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Do you use an
Okay.
external keyboard?
Yes, I have like I explained a dock that connects everything, my keyboard and everything. Yeah.
So you have a keyboard that lives here, and do you have another dock at home?
Yes, I have the same setup, but at home. That way I just plug in my laptop.
That's really smart. So you don't have to haul very much with you,
Oh,
just literally the
no.
laptop.
I'm just moving my laptop.
Got it. All right. Well, tell us where people can find you.
You can find us by going online and typing Yellowtail.tech. You can go on Instagram. We are the same handle, Yellowtail.tech. Facebook, Yellowtail.tech. So anywhere, just look us up, Yellowtail.tech, and see if what we offer is a good fit for you.
And then one more time, for people that are thinking about working from home for the very first time, any tips or tricks that can help them make that big transition?
Yes, invest in trying to get an alternative location to work. It doesn't matter how much space you have at home. Having a place for you to go and break that routine will help you a great deal. It's going to be a great investment.
Even if it's a coffee shop.
Even if it's a coffee shop. Yes, definitely.
All right. So yellowtail.tech is their website, and we can find you all the places. We'll put all of that into our show notes. Any final thoughts?
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I've answered quite a bit of a question here that I've had the first time.
I told you that we get a little personal.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jubee. We appreciate having you. This has been April Malone with Jubee Vilceus. And yes, I work from home. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.